Welcome back to the Outfit Repeaters podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Shelby.
And we are your hosts. Today we are going to be covering Season 1, Episode 11, Bad Girl McGuire. But before we get there, Shelby, what are you reading? What are you watching?
So this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I DNF'd Assistant to the Villain because I just couldn't take it anymore. I was listening to it on audiobook, and I was at that point where I was like, okay, like, we got to start winding this down, and I was only halfway through. So it was one of those books where I felt like there was a lot going on, but also nothing going on. So I was like, I can't finish this.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm a huge supporter of the DNF, honestly.
I feel weird because so many people love that book and the sequel, and apparently, like, the third is coming out this fall, but I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, if it's to a point where I'm dreading listening to it,
it's time to stop.
It's time to stop. Maybe I'll try to finish it one day. I had like 3 more hours left in it, and then one part of me was like, I've invested at least 9 hours into this. I need to finish. I'm like, no.
Because the reality is you would probably get to the end and be upset that you spent all of that time, and you're like, those are hours I can't get back.
Exactly. Decided to start listening to The Crash by Frida McFadden.
Okay.
And it's good. It's not Never Lie good.
Nothing is.
Yes, it's not The Housemaid good, but I like it. I think it'll have a good ending. I never know what her endings are going to be, so I think I have it figured out, but I know that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So, and I'm still reading Court of Mist and Fury.
Okay.
And every time I sit down to read, I get tired and almost fall asleep. So I'm only on like chapter 20.
That's okay.
Anyways, what about you? What are you reading? What are you watching?
Okay, so I have listened to and finished Do Not Disturb by Frida since we last discussed. It's not a god tier Frida book. You know, it was fine. It just wasn't great. I did start a new audiobook this morning. It's Master of Me by Kiki Palmer.
Kiki!
Love Kiki. I'm only 1 chapter in, but I was trying to find something that I had like just enough of my audio credits on Spotify to use, and it's really hard to find something that's under 8 hours, I feel like. So this is like 6 and change, so like just a hair below 7, so I'll be able to use like exactly my 15 hours this month. Reading, and I have finished Empire of Storms, so I am done with the tandem read and Throne of Glass. I have 1 book left, but we did go to the beach a few weeks ago, so I did start an Elsie Silver Wild Love while I was there. I need like a romancy, easy like read for the beach. I knew that fantasy was not the vibe, so I was like, I'm gonna read this and then I'll do Kingdom of Ash. Watching, I have restarted Modern Family. I'm trying to queue up several shows that are like easy, funny, light, not like overly plot heavy, especially as I go into like having this baby. And that way I have just a host of shows I can turn on when I might be up in the middle of the night, only half paying attention, feeding, that kind of stuff. So I've got Golden Girls and Modern Family for that, and at some point I think I'm also going to start the Kardashians as well, and that way I've kind of got like 3 vibes to choose from.
Yes, and all of the additional Kardashian series, the Kardashian cinematic universe.
Not the cinematic universe.
You got Takes Miami, Takes New York, Chloe and Lamar. Like, there's a lot to get to go on. So.
Of everything you just said, the only one that I knew about was Chloe and Lamar, so like clearly I've got some immersion ahead of me.
I think it was Courtney and Chloe Takes Miami, I think. That one was a good one.
Okay, wait, that sounds familiar because that one was about them starting Dash, right?
Yes, Dash Miami.
Okay.
And then the one about New York is them starting Dash New York. But it was good. That one was Courtney and Kim, and I believe it was only 1 series. And the interesting thing about that was you saw all of the 72 days she was married to Chris Humphries. It's all documented on
Oh
Takes Me to
boy,
Work.
what a journey.
So
That'll be fun.
Yes, you see them like arguing, and you're just like, oh no,
It was
no,
doomed
we
from
know
the
where this is
beginning.
going. Oh, absolutely. When you watch the time when they're engaged, it's so obvious. Like, you know the Courtney line where she's like, Kim, there's people that are dying.
Yes.
He was around during that, so that family trip to Greece, I believe, is where they were.
Chef's kiss.
So, their vacation episodes are my favorite.
Amazing. Well, I can't wait to jump in at some point.
It's good. Oh, the earlier ones are the best ones because it's just so good. They were so funny. Like
I was talking to my hairdresser on Friday when I was there about how I was going to start the Kardashians, and I told her like I had only ever seen like odds and ends episodes on like reruns. I was never like a Kardashian girl, but the episodes I remember from when Kylie and Kendall are little, and they're just beating each other up like WWE style all the time.
Yep, they used to all do that to each other.
Amazing.
I was every Sunday night. I watched the Kardashians.
I love it.
So it was a fun time. Yeah. I'm still watching Hot in Cleveland. I love it. It is just so good.
Amazing.
All right. So are we ready to hop into this? So we are on season 1, episode 11, Bad Girl McGuire. And we open in a classroom, and we hear the teacher in the background noise, I assume doing some kind of math problem. Don't ask me. So Lizzie talks about, like, if the A train and the B train are different speeds going for the same destination, and so-and-so is going 90, and I'm just, like, checked out.
Tuning it out.
Catch me not doing that.
I was told there'd be no math.
Exactly. And animated Lizzie says, unless I'm on a train that's taking me to a private rock concert with me and my friends, I'm just not that interested. No Aaron Carter?
Yeah, rock concert seemed a little out of pocket, but like it felt like it should have been pop concert instead of rock. But
Right. Is it like 1955?
you know what? A free concert with a free train ride there, it really doesn't matter what kind of music it is.
That's true. Vibes only. The teacher goes on about the A train and the B train, and at this point, I pointed out Lizzie's hair is straightened, crimped, and curled.
I said the crimp is crimping.
Yes, she has some sections that are straight, some that are crimped, and then she has 2 little ringlet curls also coming off the side of her head. So she was just like doing her hair this morning, and she just said yes.
That's the perfect way to describe it.
How do you want to do your hair? Yes. That's what Hillary Duff said to the hair and makeup lady that morning. Okay, so speaking of bad hair, we have Angel, who makes her one and only Lizzie McGuire appearance. She is making faces. Angel has hair that is in need of deep conditioning. That is multicolored. It is frizzy. It has unplaced ponytails. It's just madness. And Angel has gum, which is my biggest ick ever. And she keeps trying to like putting it in Lizzie's hair. Catch me in ISS about to fight, because I would absolutely have gone feral.
You literally said ISS, and I thought you were about to say ICU. If you tried to put gum on Shelby, it would land her in the ICU.
Yes.
Critical care.
And you. So the girls are making a racket, and the teacher's like, is there a problem? And Angel's like, no. And Lizzie says, no. And the teacher, Lizzie's obviously looking very annoyed, and she goes back to the A train and the B train. And then she sticks the gum on back of Lizzie's neck.
That was almost grosser to me than just putting it in the hair, because if you think about someone else's saliva making contact with your skin, Shelby's literally gagging right now if you're not watching.
I wrote in the notes, I would have punched her.
Fair. That would be a fair reaction.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, so disgusting. And so Lizzie, like, reaches to the back of her neck and actually pulls it off. And Angel says, "I'm sorry, Frizzy," which is what she calls her this whole episode. "I thought you were my desk." Animated Lizzie says, "As if word problems weren't enough trouble, I'm forced to learn about them while my life's in constant danger." Talking about Angel sitting behind her.
And here I wanted to point out that Animated Lizzie has a chair and a whip. Like, think of like an old-fashioned like circus ring where they're like kind of trying to keep a lion back. And she's fighting letters of the alphabet.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah. They're like on the ground.
Oh, gosh. Angel coughs back to the teacher. She does that boring thing. And let me just tell you, and I wrote in the notes, I said I would have roasted this girl if she was in my class.
You live for the roast.
I do live for the roast. And the teacher gets frustrated and says, "That's it. Clear your desk except for a pencil. Write your name in the upper right-hand corners of the paper. Show all your work." And Miranda says, "Great, a pop quiz." And Gorda goes, "Great, a pop quiz. I love the smell of pop quizzes in the morning."
Loser.
Angel's... Just two different perspectives right there. Angel says, "What planet are you from again? Gordork," which is what she calls Gordo the whole episode.
Which is, like, truly an elite nickname.
Yes, I'm, like, kind of surprised that didn't catch on in other characters, but who knows. So Angel, after sticking her gum on Lizzie's neck, is now trying to cheat off of Lizzie's pop quiz in the most obvious way possible. She's, like, leaning over her desk, like, pushing Lizzie to the side, and she's like, "Let me see your paper." And Lizzie says, "No, cheater." Angel, "Why, are you afraid Miss Wortman will see?" Lizzie says, "I'm so not afraid." And Angel says, "Prove it. Let me see." Lizzie, "What part of no don't you understand?" And Angel says, "Coward." And then Lizzie gives this little lip snarl, and the editing went back and put, like, a tiger growl. So, they eventually get caught by their teacher, and the teacher says, "Ladies, I don't tolerate cheating. You can finish up your conversation in detention," which I skipped that part accidentally. But Lizzie eventually caves because she doesn't want to be a coward, and she, like, pulls her paper to let Angel see, and they're not even trying to hide it at this point. This is so beginner cheater. I've seen some very creative ways that students have cheated.
Oh, I'm sure.
Years, and this is no effort at all.
And when the teacher says detention, we get like an echo sequence, one of those where we're getting her like face from multiple camera angles, and she's saying it at different like, octaves or whatever. And to me, this very much reminded me of A Christmas Story. It was giving "You'll shoot your eye out."
There's also at one point in the detention thing where you hear like an evil laugh.
Yeah.
She's like, "Detention!"
Yeah. With like the close up on just her mouth.
Yes. It was giving Winifred Sanderson.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Animated Lizzie starts freaking out, and she says, "Detention? Detention? But I've never had detention. I'm a good girl. Good girls don't get detention." Angel says, "Well, Frizzy McGuire, welcome to my world. See you in detention." And then one more word problem reference, as if I couldn't get away from math soon enough. Animated Lizzie says, "If I'm train A and Angel's train B, we're about to have a major collision."
I just want to get on whichever train is going faster in the opposite direction of the math.
Yes.
What train would that be?
Is it C, D? I don't know.
I don't care.
I don't care. Just give me away. I've moved on. So next we see, outside the detention room, Lizzie, Gordo, and Miranda. And Lizzie says, "Isn't this the part where you're supposed to offer me comfort, guidance? I mean, anything, as I'm about to get killed." Miranda says, "Don't look anybody in the eye."
And every time the door to the detention room opens or closes, there's some kind of scream, and it's different every single time.
Did you see the one in the window? It was like a flash of red. And
with the hand?
Going down the window.
Yes, I did. Yes.
It reminded me of the Halloween episode, honestly.
Yes.
I can't wait till that one. Lizzie says, it's just detention, right? I mean, everyone in there can't be a criminal. I got detention. I'm sure there's at least one other normal person in there. Gordo says, depends on how you define normal. We all thought Eli Saxon was normal. And then Miranda says, until he ate his shoes.
Yikes.
I need to know more about that.
Same. This is a fringe character that needs its own B-plot.
Yes. We need the backstory of Eli Saxon and his shoes. Gordo says, act tough, but also go in there and try to blend in. Lizzie says, tough? Gordo, this is me you're talking to. And then we see Angel push her way through the three of them. And Miranda says, I'll remember you fondly.
And I have to point out Angel's fashion here because we get a better look at it now that she's standing. She is in a shirt that says Angel on it with a fur vest over it.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that, but I noticed that. Yes. And so we see Lizzie very, scaredly, is that a word? I don't know. Walk into the detention room, and we see Mr. Escobar for the first time.
I know, that's what I said. Shout out to the first appearance of Mr. Escobar.
Yes, the children in there are running amok. Nobody's in their seats. They're throwing paper balls everywhere. Mr. Escobar could not give a singular F about what the children are doing.
There's a child hanging from a hook on the wall.
Yes, there's possibly another nerd in there that they have hung up on the wall by the back of his shirt. So, Mr. Escobar doesn't care. I think maybe this is after school, and he's just there for the check.
Correct. So, I mean, get your bag. Get your bag for free.
Yes, he's like, I don't have enough money for my theater program. So he says, a fresh face. Welcome, Miss McGuire. A hearty welcome. Please take a seat. I don't care which one. I really don't. Okay, people, I'm excusing myself for no more than 5 minutes. That should give me enough time to make my copies of my play, which is a work of genius, but I don't expect you little monkeys to understand. I'm so glad we get more of him throughout the series. He's such a good character. Angel says, I was supposed to be the first in line to buy the new Eminem CD, and then you had to go and open your big mouth just because I wanted to cheat off your paper. Waiting in line for CDs. Wow.
Also, did the CD drop today? Wouldn't you have had to be in line in, the morning or something? Or is she getting in line the night before? Maybe.
I don't know. That was a good point, because this is the afternoon.
Right, so, you thought you were going to be first in line at 4 o'clock?
Animated Lizzie says, if I agree with everything she says, maybe she won't hurt me. Lizzie, maybe you're right. It's just a stupid pop quiz. Next time, I'll just let you cheat. Next test, my answers are your answers. And in the background, you see the two girls talking, and in huge letters on the chalkboard, it says, you're in detention. You're being punished. Be still. Be quiet. Do homework.
I didn't notice that at all.
It was really quick. If you weren't looking at just the right moment, you wouldn't see it. But, I don't know. I thought it was funny, because that's obviously not anything.
Yeah, nobody's being still or quiet.
Nobody's doing homework. So Angel says, really? You're going to let me cheat? Lizzie, sure, I guess. Angel, Frizzy McGuire, I misjudged you. I may even let you join my band one day. Animated Lizzie's on a band fixation this week. She says, a band? Bands rock. Lizzie, you have a band? Angel, not yet, but one day I'm going to make some music, travel the world, and go my own way. And to which I said, Lizzie also travels eventually and makes music.
She does. She actually does become an international pop star.
She does. She got there before Angel. So.
She did.
I needed Angel in the Lizzie McGuire movie.
Oh my God. That would have been incredible.
And Angel goes on and says, yep, just me, my music, and my fans. That's the only way for us to get to L squared. And Lizzie says L squared. Angel, 2 L's, living large. Go where the wind goes. And Animated Lizzie says, Angel's not scary. She's just misunderstood. Oh, now we go down the bad road for bad Girl McGuire. Lizzie says, so why'd you sit next to me? Talking about why Angel sat next to her in detention. And Angel says, look around. Like, I'm really going to spend my valuable detention time talking to this bunch of double E's? Lizzie says, double E's? And this is Angel's, like, quirk. She does a bunch of, like, little acronyms that...
And they're elite.
Oh, I was going to say that make no sense.
Well, I mean, like, we get some later that I'm like, I would use that in everyday life.
Okay, yes. Those are much better than L squared and double E. I will give her that.
Yeah.
Angel says, how many E's are in geek? And Lizzie says, 2. Angel says, N in dweeb. Lizzie, 2. Oh, double E, geeks and dweebs. I got it. That's pretty good. I'm like, she's just trying not to die at this point. She's just telling her what she wants to hear. Animated Lizzie's like, oh, why didn't I think of that?
And here, Animated Lizzie is in a lab coat in front of a chalkboard with, like, a pointer, like an old-fashioned wooden pointer. And the chalkboard says EE equals MC squared.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. I thought that was cute. So now it is evening time at the McGuire home, and Joe says, you're late. Lizzie says, I know. Sorry, Mom. Getting very sassy, which I think Joe is justified in her fussing at Lizzie at this point.
Oh, for sure.
She should have called. Joe says, sorry? Sorry, you say? What could you have possibly been doing that you couldn't have taken 1 minute to call me? And Animated Lizzie says, I should just tell you the whole truth. How I was unjustly thrown in detention, locked up with the bad kids. She'll take my side. I'm her firstborn. Joe's like, I'm waiting. And Lizzie says she was working on a school project. And Joe is not believing it at all. She's like, school project. And Lizzie's like, yeah, it ran late. Sorry. And Animated Lizzie says, first detention? Now I'm lying? What's happening to me?
And here, Animated Lizzie is hooked up to a polygraph machine.
Oh,
Okay, a lie detector test. Sorry.
A lie detector test.
Yes.
And she says it ran late again. And Joe, I thought this was funny. And she goes, oh, well, why didn't you just say so? Oh, I know. Because you prefer to torture me. I mean, here I am, worried sick, imagining all sorts of terrible things, Lizzie. You know the rules. When you are running late, you're supposed to call me. And Lizzie rolls her eyes and says, I get the point, Mom. I said I was sorry. And then she goes, don't stop the love. Which like, Joe gives her a look like, what?
Yeah.
This is uncharacteristic. And then Matt is also in trouble, and Joe said, and he's trying to sneak by Joe, and she says, freeze, mister. And then Matt goes, I didn't do it. Oh, reflex. So what's for dinner? Joe says, what's for dinner? I'll tell you what's for dinner. Where have you been? And Matt goes, is that the other kind of white meat?
And I said, this is very funny. Very funny and very clever.
Yes. Joe says, Matt, you were supposed to be home when the streetlights come on. The streetlights have been on for exactly 7 minutes. Did you two plan this or something? Lizzie says, hey, don't let me in with that double E. So we see Angel's influence starting to creep in.
Yeah.
Yes. Matt says, but I left early, Mom. The game wasn't even finished, and none of the other guys had to leave. Guess he was playing some sport of some sort.
I was envisioning that he was playing kickball.
Yes, something like that. Joe's like, I don't care about the other guys. I care about you. And then Matt, as every child has said, that all their friends get to stay out later. And he even says they get to bungee jump.
Not happening.
Bungee jump?
No.
And then he says, and they eat all their Halloween candy on Halloween.
Yep.
And Joe says, well, that's their mother's problem, not mine.
And their dentist's problem, too.
And Matt says, and none of them have a bedtime. And Joe says, none of them have a bedtime. He's like, nope. And Joe says, fine. From now on, neither do you. And he's in disbelief. And he's like, what? And Joe says, we'll make a deal. When you come home, if you come home when you're supposed to, from now on, no bedtime. And Lizzie is like, are you okay? And Joe says, oh yeah, I'm fine. And Matt's, like, living his best life. He's like, no bedtime, yes.
Joe's parenting honestly never misses, because this is not the first
Never.
time we've seen her Jedi mind trick Matt into something, and we will see by the end of the episode how this comes out. But I'm taking
Again.
my notes from Joe for my parenting.
Yes, put her on every single best TV mom list ever.
1,000,000%.
So we have a three-way call with Lizzie, Gordo, and Miranda, and they're talking about detention. And Miranda says, or do you need some time for the wounds to heal before you can talk about it? And Lizzie says, you guys won't believe it, but... And then they, like, keep trying to guess what she's saying. And Gordo says, they let you out for good behavior. Miranda, they had you moved to a separate room for your own protection. I'm like, okay, that sounds like solitary confinement.
It's detention. It's not dangerous. Nobody's in there with a shiv.
Nobody, like, whittled a little, like, prison shank.
Yeah. No, nobody sharpened their number 2 pencil to lethal point status.
To lethal points.
Yeah.
Lizzie says, no, listen. I mean, it wasn't bad at all. I mean, in fact, it was kind of fun. And they're astounded. And Miranda says, this is a bad connection, Gordo. I think she just said that detention was fun. Gordo says, this is Lizzie, right? Lizzie, good girl, McGuire. And Lizzie says, hey, I'm not such a good girl all the time. Am I? And Gordo says, sorry, but you're the good girl prototype.
And we get a sequence of Lizzie walking an old lady across the street, bandaging an animal's foot, and then sorting recycling.
Which is foreshadowing for a future episode.
Precisely.
Lizzie says, do you know what that makes me? Boring, boring, boring. No, Angel, she isn't boring at all. We got to talking, and Miranda stops in her tracks and is like, Angel? As in Angel Lieberman? This is definitely a bad connection. And Gordo says, I thought I just heard you say that you and Angel had an actual conversation. One where she didn't have... This gave me an ick. One where she didn't have you pinned to the ground, dangling spit over your face.
That's little brother behavior.
Ew. Ick. Angel just gives me an ick. Lizzie says she just plays by her own rules. It's so exciting. And then Matt picks up the other line and says, I don't have a bedtime. I don't have a bedtime. Lizzie says, hang up, beastie boy. And then there's a pause and it goes, still don't have a bedtime. Lizzie, Matt, I'm going to crush you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I have a conflict I need to settle. And Lizzie hangs up the phone and then goes and runs into Matt's room. And you hear a crash of some sort. And Lizzie runs back out into the hallway and, like, takes a deep breath. And then you hear Matt in the background just like, ow. Oh. All right, next day at school. Miranda says, where's Lizzie? She never misses lunch. It's her favorite class.
And here we see Miranda drinking holy water, a.k.a. Diet Coke. Now, the can does say Diet Cola, but it's very clearly a Diet Coke can. But the other interesting thing is that Gordo's drinking a Pepsi, and it's actually labeled Pepsi. But there would be no way that there would be both Coke and Pepsi available at the same school. Like, contractually, there would be one or the other.
Disney probably had, like, an endorsement deal with Pepsi at that point.
And that's on product placement.
Yes, yes. But then why didn't they just have Miranda drinking a Diet Pepsi?
Because Diet Pepsi is disgusting.
It's true. It's true. Ick. All right. Then we see Lizzie and Angel come out and on the screen. They're walking and laughing together. And Angel says, the way you sneezed in front of Mr. Pettis, that was classic. Lizzie says, the note I forged said I had a doctor's appointment, remember? I had to make it look realistic. Gordo says, you forged a note? And then Angel says, get over it, Gordoric. Frizz made it worth your while. And she shoves a plate of pizza in front of all of the kids. And Gordo and Miranda start freaking out and covering it with napkins. And then Lizzie says, what are you doing? The cheese is going to get all gross. Miranda says, I'm hiding the evidence. You obviously lost your mind and went off campus. Angel, ooh, can't get anything past you, can you, Sanchez? And Miranda says, don't you have a car to steal or something?
Burn!
Okay. Lizzie says, okay, come on, guys. Come on, Miranda. NBD. Right. Is that what she said?
No
BD.
BD.
Big deal, because they look at her like she's crazy. And Angel says, I'll catch you on the flip side, Frizz. Need to meet my tutor and go over my cheat sheet. Don't forget about Friday night. Coolly.
And they do a handshake, and I said it's been one day, and they already have their own handshake.
And you can already, in Lizzie's outfit, I forget what she's wearing, but she's also already kind of like going towards Angel's, it's, I feel like, supposed to be punk alternative outfits, but they were still highly accessorized with stuff from, like, Limited Tube. Gordo says, you must be suffering from post-traumatic detention syndrome. Why else would you be hanging out with Angel Lieberman? She's bad news, Lizzie. Animated Lizzie says, okay, so Angel is a little dangerous, but a little danger never hurt a girl.
And here, Animated Lizzie puts on spiked cuffs, but ends up poking herself with said spikes.
Lizzie says, you guys just don't know Angel the way I do. Miranda, yeah, let's keep it that way. Oh my gosh. Lizzie says, okay, so maybe she's a little rough around the edges, but she knows some really cool stuff. Gordo says, like parole.
Damn, Gordo.
I need to know more about Angel's lore.
Yeah.
And Lizzie is just, like, fascinated with Angel, and she goes, she has an answer for everything. Miranda, yeah, but she usually pleads the fifth. My lord.
Did Gordo and Miranda meet up and workshop lines before this? Because this is just going off, like, hit after hit.
God, like, I need to know Angel's lore. I really do. Lizzie goes on and on about Angel and says she's starting a band. Nothing puts the double O and cool like starting a band. Oh, you guys should come to this party this weekend. And Gordo says, oh, please, can we? Lizzie says, it's a high school party. I'm going to a high school party. Can you believe it? Animated Lizzie, so long, good girl. Hello, Frizz.
And here, Animated Lizzie is full on biker chick. She's got really what I would call a mullet. She's got a bandana tied around her head. She's in her spiked cuffs, a leather jacket, and biker boots.
Yes, yes. And Lizzie asked them, so you guys enter what? And then we switch and go to commercial break, and that's when like the suspense music plays beforehand. So after we go back to check in on Matt at the McGuire home, and Sam said, look at that poor kid. He's not even going to make it to lunch. Oh, did we... Maybe because there wasn't any lines in there. Did Matt do his all-nighter sequence?
Yes, so there's the all-nighter sequence, and when I was looking at the script, and I remembered this too, I think it's the song from Risky Business, because that was in the script. And then when we get it on Disney Plus, we get some royalty-free bullcrap music.
Yes. So, to kind of talk about Matt's all-nighter, he stays up all night, is dancing to the Risky Business music, has on, like, the white overshirts.
And the socks.
Is eating food, like whipped cream straight out of the can.
And, like, chocolate sauce straight in his mouth.
Yes, and just, you see the, like, hands on the clock just, like, keep ticking around and around.
Mm-hmm.
And the next morning, he has crashed, and Sam says, look at that poor kid. He's not even going to make it to lunch. Joe says, trust me, I know what I'm doing.
She always does.
She always, you know I'm going to find out. She says, hey, Matt, how are you doing, sweetie? How was your night last night? And Matt says, awesome nights. And Sam says, you know, I used to do some of my best thinking late at night. And Matt says, yeah, I guess I thought about a few things. Because he's, like, asleep at the toaster, like, has his head down. And Sam says, so how late do you think you stayed up? And he said, late. Real late. Joe, wow, that's impressive. Matt, yeah, I'm not even tired. Joe, well, you seem tired. And he says, no, I'm just making toast. Because got his attention when it popped up. And Lizzie comes in and says, I'll take that, and takes his toast out of the toaster. And Joe says, Lizzie, come on, that's your brother's breakfast. And then she had the toast covering her nose. And then she moves the toast because she's going to hand it back to Matt. And the parents zero in on the nose ring.
Yup.
And Joe says, "What in heaven's name is in your nose?" And Sam says, "Lizzie, what have you done to yourself?" Lizzie says, "Take a chill pill, parents. It's just the temp." And she, takes it out of her nose because it's a fake nose ring. Joe says, "I don't know where to start, your nose jewelry or your attitude." And then Matt perks up and says, "Let's start with her attitude." Joe says, "Matt, eat your breakfast." Sam, "I'm sorry, Lizzie, but there's no way we're letting you out of the house looking like that." Matt, "But she looks this gross every day." Joe, "Not a word, Matt." Lizzie, "Chill, parents. It's just a fake. I just wanted to see how it looked. Relax." Animated Lizzie says, "Everybody can calm down here. Nothing to see here." Joe says, "I don't know what's gotten into you lately." Lizzie, "You think I'm the one with problems?" And then we get a glimpse of Matt, and he's now asleep at the table. And she says, "Sweet dreams," and takes his toast and walks out the door. Now we see Angel and Lizzie at school in the gym locker room. And they're looking at magazines, and Angel says, "That's exactly the tattoo I'm going to get." Lizzie says, "Before you start your band, L squared, right?" And Angel says, "Hey, maybe that's what I'll call our band, L squared." Lizzie says, "Hey, it could catch on." Angel, "By the way, cool jewels." Talking about her nose ring. And she says, "Thanks. My parents TFO'd when they found out." And Angel is TFO'd, totally freaked out. Hey, that's a good one. So speaking of old folks, you know that party? No parents will be there. How sweet is that? And then animated Lizzie is like, "No parents?" And she starts internally freaking out.
What did she think? She was invited to a high school party. She thought that there was going to be adult supervision.
Who knows?
Frontal lobe.
Frontal lobe. Angel says, "And there's going to be boys there. Lots of them. Cute high school boys. Can you say hottie hi?" And animated Lizzie says, "High school boys? No parents? It's getting kind of warm in here." And animated Lizzie is now drenched in sweat.
Yep.
Angel says, "That's not a problem, is it, Frizz?" Lizzie, "Oh no, not at all." Angel, "Good." And then Miranda comes in, and I said, Miranda's pigtails are pigtailing.
Yes.
And Miranda says, "Why aren't you in PE?" And Lizzie was like, "Well, I thought about going." And then I was just like, what's the point? It's not like I'm going to be a PE teacher when I grow up.
Okay, don't hate on Coach Kelly like that, Lizzie.
Oh my gosh, do you not remember what all Coach Kelly did for you?
Yeah.
For your rhythmic gymnastics career? Leave her alone.
And we do see here, this is where we get a clear shot of Angel's outfit, where she is in yet another shirt that says Angel on it with another fur vest.
It must be her thing.
It is.
Who do you think has more fur vest, Angel or Jill Vertez, Dance Mom Jill?
Honestly, Angel.
Angel has to have a different one for every day. So, but I wouldn't put it past Jill Vertez for having many, many, many fur vests, as we saw in Dance Moms. So now we cut to Miranda and Gordo, and they're talking about Lizzie's new problems and attitude. And Miranda says, not only does Angel call her Frizz, which I totally don't get, by the way, she's ditching PE. And you know that high school party she invited us to? No adult supervision. Gordo says, I was hoping we wouldn't have to go there, but I think this is an emergency. Lizzie says, go where? What are you talking about? And Gordo says, Miranda says, go where? What are you talking about? And Gordo says, scaring Lizzie straight. She's a good girl at heart. We just need to remind her of that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that reminds me of Beyond Scared Straight.
Yeah.
That TV show.
And this was before that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, they got the idea from Gordo. Miranda says, and how are we going to do that? Okay. Lizzie walks up and says, okay, guys, Angel, help me work out a plan. Since you guys aren't going to be at the party Friday night, or aren't going to the party Friday night, I'm going to say I'm spending the night at your house, Miranda. If my parents call for any reason, you'll page me at the party and give me a heads up. Sam and Joe would freak if they knew where I really was. Later.
Since when does Lizzie have a pager? Plot hole?
Page?
Gather round, children. A pager.
Even, we knew what pagers were, but we definitely didn't have them.
No.
That was, real early mobile communication.
My parents barely even had pagers, in my memory before they ended up getting cell phones.
I don't remember my parents having pagers.
They did for a little while, and then got cell phones. And that was back in the day when you were paying just for minutes. And so the cell phones were only used when they left the house. You didn't just have your cell phone with you all the time. You only took it when you were going somewhere.
Yes. Lizzie walks off, and Gordo and Miranda give her a look. They're like, did she just call her parents Sam and Joe? And Gordo says, intervention, here we come. Miranda, intervention. And now they start their plot. Now we have another night with Matt, and he's eating out of the fridge again. And he looks at the clock and says, the night is young. And I'm just like, oh, to have that energy again.
Couldn't be me.
He barely slept the next day after staying up all night. And now he's staying up all night again. And we see that he's watching an infomercial about psychics. And this commercial is saying, the future is just a phone call away. Just dial the number on your screen and talk to one of our psychic pals. Just $5.95 per minute. Call now.
Per minute.
Almost $6 per minute. And so Matt naturally calls the number. And he's like, I'm going to be tall enough to play in the NBA. I'm going to be married how many times? I'm going to be ruler of the free world. And you just see, again, the arms on the clock ticking and ticking.
You know that he was on the phone with that psychic for, minimum an hour. And, what even is math on that? Hold, please. $5.95 times 60. That would have been $357.
Oh, my. I needed the ending scene to be Sam getting that bill and freaking out.
Genius. That was really a missed opportunity, Disney.
It was.
Please don't sue me for saying Disney.
Okay, so the next morning again, Sam and Joe get a call from school and say they're concerned about Matt's home life. Matt snuck into the kindergarten room yesterday during nap time and slept through his next 3 classes. And Joe says, well, at least he's sleeping somewhere. And then Matt is again asleep at the breakfast table. Joe says, morning, honey. And then Matt, jumps awake and is like, no more gravy. He goes, oh, it was just a dream. And I'm just like, I have questions. Joe says, are you still going to ride your scooter to school today? He says, okay. And Sam says, don't forget your helmet. And then they put the helmet on him, and he is like a zombie just walking out. And he has a spoon, and he thinks it's his scooter, and he's just shuffling along. And he walks out the front door, not dressed.
And the helmet is backwards.
Yes, no scooter in sight. And Sam says, how far do you think he'll go before he realizes? And we hear Matt scream from outside. And Joe says, not very. Okay, now we are with Lizzie, Gordo, and Miranda. And they're in the hallway. And Miranda and Gordo are there. And she says, are you sure Lizzie's going to show? And Gordo says, I told her I had the answers to the algebra test. She'll show. And Gordo says, come on, before she sees you. And he gets Miranda into a side room. Lizzie comes up and says, you got the goods.
And Lizzie is in a denim vest that's frayed at, it's cut off, the sleeves are cut off. So it's frayed at the sleeves and frayed at the hem with studs on the pockets.
Yes, and some kind of black lace undershirts.
Something like that.
Yes. And her hair all I don't even know how to describe it.
It's
we'll put a picture on the Instagram.
Yeah, I don't even think I could do it justice. She's very much leaning into Lizzie McGuire at this point.
Yes. She is frizzy. So Gordo says to the question, "You got the goods?" He goes, "In here." And they go into a classroom. And she goes, "Miranda?" And they, like, force her to sit in a desk. And she's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And Miranda says, "It's called intervention. We want you back." Lizzie, "I haven't gone anywhere." Gordo, "That's what you think." And this video killed me. Gordo and Miranda have made an intervention video where they play Sam and Joe. And Gordo is narrating on the screen. And Gordo is narrating this week, before they were bad girls, the Lizzie McGuire story. Lizzie McGuire started out life as a good girl. She had it all. Friends, family, and three-way calling.
And we get, like,
Miranda,
baby pictures and, like, little girl pictures of actual Hillary.
Yes, so we're setting the scene. And Miranda is dressed as Joe, like, wig, butterfly clips, and everything. And she says, "Lizzie was such a good baby. The way she napped, and not once did she ever eat dirt."
The bar is low, if that's what our expectations are.
And then Gordo's dressed as Sam, and he goes, "Yeah, she always ate her vegetables, finished her milk, laughed a lot. So good-natured. She was a good kid." And Lizzie is trying to get up and leave, and she says, "Guys, this is ridiculous." And they push her back down and say, "This is for your own good." Gordo's narrating and says, "Fast forward to middle school, where Lizzie went from good baby to good girl." And then we see Miranda walking, and she's, like, awkwardly doing something with her hands. And it reminded me of in Talladega Nights when Ricky Bobby was like, "I don't know what to do."
Yeah, what do I do with my hands?
And Miranda says, "We were best friends. We ate lunch together every day, had slumber parties. I still have the friendship bracelet she gave me on the first day of middle school." And then Gordo says, "But the good days came crashing down when she met a devil named Angel."
Okay, pun.
Everything was fine until Lizzie got detention. Then Mr. Escobar is in the video.
This sent me.
He goes, "Lizzie McGuire, Lizzie, what exactly was she in for?" Because we know he wasn't paying any attention to those kids at all.
He was making copies of his screenplay.
Yeah. Gordo says she was in for cheating at math. Soon, she'd be cheating at life.
Cheating at life? Gordo, where do I get the answers to that? I have a lot of questions.
I have a lot of questions, Gordo. And now, this was my favorite part.
This was the best one.
Matt comes on screen, but he's asleep. And he's, like, flopped over in his chair. So clearly asleep. And Miranda is waving arms behind him. And she's pretending to be Matt and says, "She used to live up there. Now she lives out there on the street. The horror."
And you see Miranda, like, pop her head up from behind Matt and then, like, sink back down.
That was the best part of this whole episode. was that specific 2 seconds. Gordo's narrating again and says, "Lizzie planned on going to parties she was too young for, put earrings in places they're not meant for. Forgery, ditching, and lying became a way of life. Lizzie got too fast, even for the fast crowd."
And here, like, the picture they have of Lizzie, or the footage they have of Lizzie, instead of just having the fake nose ring, she's got, like, 4 fake rings in her face. She's got, like, one in each nostril, a lip ring. There may have been an eyebrow. It was very dramatic.
Did she agree to that? Like, I'm trying to figure out how Gordo got this shot of her. Like,
I don't know. This is pre-AI, so I don't really know.
Plot hole. So Miranda comes on camera and says, "If we don't stop her now, she could end up in jail. Or worse."
And what's worse than jail in this scenario?
Literally.
Pray tell.
And then we see Gordo pop on the screen and say, "Which is why we made this film." And they both together say, "For you, Lizzie McGuire."
And Gordo, you can just tell he's so proud of himself. He's like...
He is. He's, like, waiting for, like, positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
And Gordo says, "So what do you think?" Lizzie said, "I can't believe you guys took so much time to make such a bad movie." Which I want to know how much time it did take them to make this movie.
I mean, they
It's
just
like
hatched
an
this
afternoon
plan
project.
yesterday. So how did they conceptualize, script, shoot, edit, produce all of this in less than 24 hours?
Lizzie says, I do have to say, I do think it's pretty cool that you guys care about me so much. And you did go through all that trouble. But I have to ask, is my hair always look this bad? Yes, it did. Gorda says, you mean to tell me that you're actually okay with all the ditching and stuff? And she says, actually, no. I mean, being a bad girl all the time is hard work. I guess I'm just really a good girl at heart. Animated Lizzie says, note to self, next time I walk on the wild side, wear comfy shoes, where she takes off her biker boots.
And soaks her feet in like a hot tub of water.
Yes. And so Lizzie is putting her bad girl days behind her. Gordo says, so next Friday, the usual. Miranda, popcorn and a rental at my house? I would do anything to go stroll around the movie gallery again.
Anything!
Anything.
I was just thinking that.
I would do anything to go stroll around a movie rental place again. Were you a movie gallery or a Blockbuster gal?
Blockbuster.
Okay. Was movie gallery a nationwide thing, or was that just in Dothan, Alabama?
No, like it was other places, but like proximity-wise, Blockbuster was closer to us. But when we moved to Auburn, I was a Hastings girl, and I loved Hastings.
What is Hastings?
So Hastings was like books, music, and movies, and you could purchase or rent movies, and then like you could purchase CDs and books, and then they also had like a consignment, so you could sell back CDs and books for store credit. And if you rented from like one of the like new releases around the outside, if you returned it within 24 hours, you got a $2 credit on your account. So it's like that would be all we would do Friday and Saturday is we would go Friday and pick out a movie and watch it and then return it the next day and get the $2 credit and get another one.
Oh, there's just literally nothing now comparable to the enjoyment of going to, okay, maybe because Movie Gallery was headquartered in Dothan, Alabama, which is my hometown, dear listener.
Okay, did not know that.
Yeah, it's where it started. And so I guess we just had Movie Gallery galore because that's where it started. And there's just, I'm forever chasing the happiness that I felt walking around on a Friday night at Movie Gallery. They had the snack section.
Yes. And I was always begging for my parents to buy me, like, the popcorn bucket thing. And they're like, we have popcorn at home.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. Oh, man. Oh, I miss it so much. We'll put a poll on our Instagram of if you were a Blockbuster or a Movie Gallery fan. So, the good old days. I miss it so much. Take me back.
R.I.P.
Yeah, thanks Netflix and streaming. You ruined such a good thing. Even though I do like instant gratification, but there's just nothing like Movie Gallery.
It's true.
All right, so Lizzie talking about the popcorn and a rental at Miranda's house says, sounds GTM, and they give her like a crazy look, and she goes, oh, never mind. Sounds good to me.
But
Angel sees Lizzie in the hallway and says, hey, Frizz, did you get the answers from Gordork? And Lizzie says, okay, A, my name is Lizzie, not Frizz. B, Gordo's no dork. He's one of my best friends. And C, I don't cheat.
He is a dork, though.
And C, Lizzie, you did cheat on a math test.
Yeah.
So only one of those things is true. Angel says, fine, if you think you're going to be in my band now, you're so not. And you, Lizzie McGuire, are never going to L squared. And Lizzie says, oh, I think I'll live.
Again, this is one of those episodes where it's like, where did the backbone come from?
Exactly. Like, why couldn't you just tell her that? Why couldn't you just tell her that at the beginning so you never got detention? It's all for the plot. For the plot. Okay, so in this next scene, we have Lizzie and Matt in the McGuire kitchen, and Lizzie says, staying up late again tonight? Matt says, no way, I'm exhausted. I asked Mom and Dad to give me my bedtime back. Lizzie says, funny, in a way, I just got my bedtime back too. Matt says, you're really dumb. No, but sometimes it may seem that way. Matt, no, you really are. And then Lizzie is like, ah! And then takes his chip bag, and they start chasing each other around the kitchen. And that's where it ends. Which is where Sam should have gotten the bill for Matt's phone convos. Oh, hi. I didn't hear you come in.
He was just like...
I'll shut the... What'd she say?
She's like, he just saw in the background go,
Hello, world.
we're almost done. Did not hear him come in. What? We did. Okay, so that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
With them chasing around the kitchen, which is where I still think they should have had Sam's reaction getting Matt's phone bill from the psychics. Missed opportunity.
It really was.
And we have outtakes.
We have
Yay.
outtakes.
I don't remember. What were they? Was it anything?
I just remember clearly they had to like reshoot the toast scene over and over again, and at the very last one, Matt is like, "Toast is evil."
Oh, yeah.
That was funny. But there was nothing else memorable besides that.
Yes. Oh, wow. This was a hidden gem, this episode.
It really was.
Okay, what was your favorite line? Outfits?
Okay, so it's gotta be, don't you have a car to steal or something?
That was my favorite, too.
And then outfit, I'm not going to choose a specific one. I'm just going to say Angel's fashion in general. The commitment to a shirt with your own name on it with a different fur vest every day. I admire the commitment.
She's building her brand.
She is building her brand, and she's committed to her brand, and I respect that.
I'm trying to find one where they're like roasting, Angel.
Like Parole?
Like Parole, yes. Yes, that was a good one. And then when Lizzie said she has an answer for everything, and Miranda says, yeah, but she usually pleads the fifth.
That was good, too.
That was good.
That whole sequence was probably the best lines of the episode.
Yes, that was good. I really enjoyed this one.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. My favorite fashion moment, I'm going to say Lizzie's frayed sleeved
Denim vest.
I
Good
love a
choice.
denim vest.
Good choice.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so anything else for this episode? Closing thoughts?
I thought it was great. Next, we have an icon, we have a legend.
I'm not ready.
It's the bra episode.
Oh my gosh.
Can't wait.
Oh my gosh. Oh
Can't
my gosh.
wait.
Block off 2 hours.
Extended cut available on Patreon. Just kidding, we're not on Patreon. There's only like 20 of you.
But we love you.
We love you.
Yes, we did want to give a special shout out to, I wish we had names, but I wanted to give a special shout out to our Norwegian listeners. Woo!
Yeah. Thanks for being here. And thanks for your loyalty.
Thanks for your loyalty, yes. You are a loyal listener.
Well, I think that is all we have for this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked this episode, please like our podcast, subscribe on whatever platform you prefer, and rate us 5 stars. Also, feel free to share us with a friend that you know would love us. And
we're really funny.
We are really funny. And
so
we're
funny.
also on all socials, the Outfit Repeaters Pod.
All right, so until next time, we're outie.